Good morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 57. We're going to be recapping the NFL Saturday games, the three games that happened on Saturday. We're going to be talking about our must-watch games for Sunday afternoon, as there's a lot of games for playoff indications. Then we're going to finish up with the college football playoffs, as that starts on Tuesday night, and their next podcast won't drop till Wednesday. And then we got to finish up with our betting. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
I'm doing good today. We had some good games, I thought. After the noon game, we had two good games in the NFL, and hopefully we get some better game. We'll get some good games on Sunday as well.
I totally agree. And honestly, I did not like the last Saturday's NFL games because college football was in there, right? But thank God they had Saturday games this week because these bowl games are not interesting because you don't know if anyone's playing or not. And that's why we're not talking about the college football playoffs. Or I'm sorry, the college football bowl games. It's because you don't know who's playing, who's transferring, and what. So these teams are not what the teams were earlier in the year. That's why we're only talking about that. But thank God the NFL had some games on Saturday because those made it interesting. Let's get started right off of that first game. Chargers versus Patriots. We obviously one team's playing for something. The other team might be playing for their head coach. Chargers, Justin Herbert looks great. But what did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Chargers started out really, Herbert got hit the passing game going. I was kind of surprised that they did for a team that gives up 130 yards in rushing. They kind of held the running attack down, but they couldn't. They got no push up front, no push. In that first half, they let Herbert do whatever they want, and Herbert threw the pass to that Davis for a 7-0 lead. And then in the next series, May gets rocked, and he ends up going out for at least a series. They took him back. There was no concussion or anything, so he came back in the game. But this game was, I don't know, it was pretty much over. Right. I mean, once he went out, this game was over. They got no push up front, and they just went right down the field and just kept. He got McConkey going early and often. He had a couple passing touchdowns. They finally did score with Pop Douglas, made it 17-7, but this game was out of hand early.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And, it's good to see J.K. Dobbins back, kind of get to see his running game going. But I think what you saw in this game was, there's Bosa and there's Khalil Mack. First time this year, I feel like I remember that they're on the same damn team. Whether it's been injuries or it's been they actually played really well, but they were getting pressure on May the whole time. Now that hit that May took, it's not a penalty.
Right.
He's a running. If
Yep.
he was catching the ball, it'd be a whole different ball game. But hey, bud, welcome to the NFL.
Yeah.
Slide or get the hell out of bounds. Stop doing that shit. You're not going to make it a long career if you keep doing that. Ask Robert Griffin III. So,
right.
But the other thing that McConkey surpasses Keenan Allen for all time, or not all time, but for rookie season catches. So that's a thing. The one thing I will say, Mayo after the game asked, "Do you feel that you're coaching right now for your job?" So the rumor mill is definitely happening where he might be out after 1 year. And I think that's tragic because you gave him a rookie quarterback. You gave him a bullshit team. So it's hard for me to be like, well, he deserves to be gone. They're not playing great. Don't get me wrong, but they're not supposed to be.
No.
But name another rookie quarterback that's doing as bad as May is right now. Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with their coach? They're going to fire him. Otherwise, we're going to talk about the other one that's playing, Bo Nix. And Jane Daniels is going to be one of our must-watch games today. I mean, like, these rookie quarterbacks are coming into the league, and they're doing well. So if yours is not, you're gone.
Well, even Derwin James had a hell of a game, too. He had a couple sacks. I mean, that defense stepped up big time, And Herbert had 281 yards and 3 touchdowns. McConkey had 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. They pretty much showed the America this team is going to be for real.
Yeah, I mean, it's always
I think for what he's got, I think they'll be for real.
Yeah, it's always just harder, because there's some teams that are just packing it in, and the Patriots are one of those teams. So when we see the Chargers play like this, we're like, they're going to be a force to be reckoned. Well, they're nowhere compared to the Chiefs. They're nowhere compared to the Ravens. They're nowhere compared to the Bills. So they look good yesterday, but they're going to have to play that way times a little bit better to even compete with other AFC teams. The one thing I did see, too, is Justin Herbert's the third player to have at least 3,000 passing yards and 20 touchdowns in his first 5 years. Well, if I was going to go coach in the NFL, I would like a quarterback that's the only third quarterback to do it in NFL's history, okay?
Yeah.
So I do like Harbaugh, do not get me wrong, but, like, he kind of got into a nice little situation already having that quarterback set up the way he is.
Well, and I think he knew that, too. Going back on the Mayo deal, that they asked Kraft, the owner of if his job is safe, and he said, yeah. I think a lot of it, which I've watched a little bit of stuff out of New England, is that he pretty much got that job. He was promised that job. That's the only reason why he got the job.
Yeah.
He was promised the job.
Yeah.
So now they're probably, I think Kraft and his boy are rethinking, boy, we should have went after somebody else.
Yeah.
He's over his head.
I think he was like, you're next in line. And they gave to it where I think now they're like, maybe kind of and that's what I'm saying. The rumor mills are definitely going. I'm not saying he's going to get fired. I don't think it's fair for him to get fired because of what predicament he's put into. But at the same time, like, it's understandable because that's how the NFL is right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that takes us to the afternoon game. The Broncos versus the Bengals. Someone's here a Broncos fan, and if I believe correctly, he got a flag for Christmas and still hasn't hung it. No hate there.
My interior decorator is still on vacation. That's why I went to do that.
First half it was a defensive game in the first half. Both defenses played really well. I said the Bengals defense has kind of stepped up. And in the second half, they're like, all right, let's start letting some of these offenses score. Bo Nix, I think this game, he's great. I think he's going to be a great quarterback eventually for you. I think he's great for what Sean Payton wants.
Yeah.
My problem with this game is not one single player on the Denver Broncos has made me upset. The head coach. You should have went for 2 or you shouldn't have went to overtime. One or the other, because you can't lose. What did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, they started off. Denver's defense was, I think that also too. Denver's defense is a bend but don't break kind of defense right now. They just don't. They let up a lot of plays, and then they get you down to about the 20, and then they start playing defense. I mean, they held them. This should have been a blowout. This really should have been. Cincinnati should have blew them out. If they could make a couple good catches down there in the end zone, this is not even a close game. This is not even a close game. They had 6.
Well, if they just score on one of the 2 downs that they were in the red zone.
Yeah.
It didn't score either. So
Yeah. And then they had 6 penalties in the first half. That's too many. You can't have that many penalties. And even in the second half, they had penalties. That prolonged drives. You can't do that. You can't have your team your defense on the field that long. You guys have got to be more. That's one thing that's going to kill them in the playoffs is the bad penalties at the wrong time. Because these good teams you're going to play, a Buffalo, a Kansas City, they're going to make you pay for it, and you'll get blown out.
Yeah.
Baltimore, they'll blow you out. I mean, it just when they tied the game at 10-10, I'm thinking, all right, and then they go right down the field again, Cincinnati, and they score. And it's like they're just not. You needed this win because now next week you got to play Kansas City. What is Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes is going to play. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
So was he going to play a half? If he plays the whole game and you need this win, you needed this win this week. You needed that win, and you just didn't. I mean, there was that one touchdown in the end zone with 8 seconds to go. I mean, it was questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, they give it to him, but that's questionable. It's just you can't keep going to the well. I mean, he is going to be a good quarterback. I mean, no doubt about it. I think he's in the right system with Peyton. It's just that defense is still now in the last 3 games. I think they've given up an average of almost 25 points. Yeah. That's not good. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compare that game to what they've seen in the past because the Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, if he has a winning record, he's the MVP this year. I mean, they were saying that. No way. You got Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and you're going to still give it to him? No way. I disagree. I mean, not. He's got the most most passing touchdowns. No. He's got like the other MVPs that we're talking about. They're behind him on the categories that a quarterback matters. The only other matters is the rushing. So Joe Burrow doesn't have that. But you're going to say the most passing touchdowns and the most passing yards is Joe Burrow. I think if they had a winning record, he's definitely more in the conversation.
I agree. I would agree with you on that.
But they've lost these games because of shit endings. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Denver's throw at the end of that. So the other thing too, as I'll say, is that Denver goes down and scores, or Bengals go down and score 17-10. But then Denver went back down and scored again. So
yeah.
Like, hey, you're staying in, you're fighting. And then they let the Bengals, like that run where Brown slides, gets hurt, and then the next play they take in the end zone. You should have ran more of the clock. The announcer is like crying at that point, being like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Bo Nix's throw to the end zone.
Oh.
Like, holy hell! Here we go.
Right.
We watched. I think it was a Rams game. I don't understand some of these like rules, I guess, because you got to have full possession through the ground, but like, what is possession? Because Mims never had possession.
Right.
He caught it in the end zone. He is bobbling it. His head's out of bounds, and then literally they're like, it was on his knee, and it was like, yeah, but it was never tucked into his body. Like,
right.
That's possession. Because now you got to catch the ball and survive the ground. It can touch the ground, but it's got to survive it. Like the rules are just kind of sometimes like, but
yeah. Well, ask Cowboy fans when that Des Bryant catch a few years ago, and ask them what they think of what a catch is, what not is, because they'll give you a different opinion as well.
Well, and it's literally like Calvin Johnson's that started this whole thing against Bears, I think, or whatever. But so the catch that goes there, they start coming out for 2, and then they review it. They come and kick the field. Sean Payton was asked about it after the game, and he said, we had the momentum at the time. You never have momentum when you're on the road.
No.
And that is why you go for it on 2 or go for it. Now, the problem was when they reviewed it, now the Bengals defense goes, oh, shit, they're going to go for 2.
Right.
So now they're getting ready for it.
Right.
So now you got to go, we have to be the enforcers in overtime. They come out, they get a good stop on the Bengals. They get a couple sacks. And then they were like, okay, let's run the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
Just, what do you do? Like, where was that desperation that was at the end of the game? Do you not understand that you still need to win this game to go in the playoffs?
Right.
And then they give the Bengals back the ball. They go down and hit the fucking goalpost.
Yeah.
Broncos, let's take that energy. Let's go. They ran the ball. It was like, Sean Payton, if you were going to do what that was in overtime, then why the hell didn't you go for 2?
Right.
And the misery. Because then the Bengals were like, we're going to put it in the end zone. And they did. And let's say the Bengals right now, they still have a shot to get in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, they got to play Pittsburgh next week. Pittsburgh's reeling right now.
Yeah.
That's why you needed this victory. You needed to go for the victory. You can't go for a tie and hope for the best in overtime. Yeah, and then that's the play call you're going to do in overtime? Come on, get the hell out of here. Come on, man. You're a better coach than that. But if that's what you're going to do, you're exactly right. Go for 2 then. Let's get it over with.
Well, and it's just like, I guess I didn't understand it. Why are you playing to tie? Like, because that happened. I mean, we were a minute away from literally a tie game.
Right.
So it was like, a tie is a win in Denver's eyes because that's just not a win.
Well, and if they would have got a tie out of that game, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I was texting you literally after the game or during the game, and I'm like, they were the luckiest team in the world because and then the field goal, and it was like, Christ, how lose this game?
Right.
And they let this ball go down the field, and they get to the 2-yard line, and it was like, they're gonna lose now.
Right.
I just didn't understand Sean Payton's like energy in that overtime.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can't blame it on Bo Nix because even Bo Nix's interception earlier in the game, he gets his arm hit. It's a good pass. Watch what he's looking at. It's going to be.
I know he got his arm hit, but if you look at that again, he's thrown into double coverage. But I don't know how you get that ball in there. I don't know how he would have.
He's the guy that does it, though. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm not going to lie. Like, watching Bo Nix, I watched that game fully. I've not seen many Denver games fully.
Right.
I think he's a good quarterback. He's a smart quarterback.
I do too.
When he throws it in double coverage, it's because he thinks his wide receiver is going to get that ball.
Right.
But Denver's got to win next week, and if the Bengals win, that was the best game of the night, personally.
I think that's probably the best game this weekend so far.
Yeah. Well, that moves us to the Cardinals versus Rams. Cardinals have nothing to play for. Rams are playing to keep opportunity alive to get in the playoffs. Well, it kind of looked like the Cardinals wanted to give a little run for the money for those Rams. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was Murray is still. I don't know. He just seems like after midseason, he just kind of goes downward. He goes backwards instead of forwards. His balls are not there. He's still floating them. I mean, the Cards go for it on 4th down and one of the possessions, and it fails. And then Williams gets the touchdown at 7-0. It's just like they just didn't seem like they were moving the ball, and then they finally got McBride in the end zone. Made it 10-6, mixed the extra point. It's like, this team, this Cardinals team is just all over the place. And it starts with Murray, I think. I mean, he's just he'll run good, and then he'll throw the ball, and then at the end of the game where he throws that interception, what are you doing throwing a bullet 5 yards away? I mean, what are you doing?
Well, and my game of this I thought was Stafford looked bad. I know Kyler Murray looked bad, but the Cardinals are not making it to the playoffs. The Rams are making it to the playoffs. Stafford had about 3 yesterday that could have been picked off at any point. One in the end zone, one where it was like closer to like the 20-yard line. Like, I thought Stafford didn't look as great because he's got Puka, he's got Cooper, and they got involved in the game.
Yeah.
But there was some passes that you were like, oh, relax. Now, at the same time, Stafford got out of a couple plays and got, pitched the ball and got some positive yards. But you're going to need him to play damn near perfect in the playoffs because your defense isn't going to hold teams down. And your offense ain't that powerful unless Stafford's on his A game.
Right.
So, looking at the Cardinals side, Kyler Murray is, I feel like he's like a little kitten. And what I mean by this is not because of his size, but like he's so timid in the beginning of the game to do anything wrong. And then he gets this like second wind where he's just like, I'm going to throw the ball 70 yards in double coverage, and it's going to get picked off at the 1-yard line. Like, what the are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't make any sense. And then I definitely agree with you. I have Trey McBride in fantasy. Obviously, it's for 3rd place. No big deal, whatever. And he throws this ball like 100 miles an hour on a 2-yard out route that hits the guy in the helmet. Think about that for a second. Trey McBride gets off the line, takes 2 steps, turns, and that ball hits him in the forehead. What are you throwing, man?
Right.
Like, and literally the announcer, or after the game I was watching something, they were like, down and away. Because that's the only way that the defense can't make a play on it. It's right at his dome. That play gets hit up in the air, and then Mr. Stretch-a-Lot just catches that ball, which it hits the ground. So how is that not? I don't understand how that wasn't incompletion.
Right.
But yeah, this game, I will say, I make fun of you, and then I kind of go back the other way, and then I kind of go, the Rams are not going to be a good playoff team. They're not.
They're going to get a home game because they'll probably win their division. They'll get a home game, and that's probably about it.
But if they play that way that they did against Cardinals, don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah. Any NFC team is going to handle that one. Yeah. So, but yeah, otherwise, what else did you think about this game?
Yeah, it was just it was hard to watch. I mean, it was a whole lot of there wasn't a whole lot of scoring, field goals. It's just they were just kind of going up and down the field with nothing. I mean, that's all they were just racking up stats. It's just like, wow, this is a hard game to watch.
Yeah. Well, we did bet on those. How did you do betting this weekend?
I went 1-2. The Chargers given the 4. They won 40-7. Broncos getting 3.5. They lost in overtime by 6. And then I had the Rams given 6.5, and they only won by 4. So I went 1-2.
Yeah, I went 2-1, and actually the only one that I won outside of yours was the Bengals one. I will say when they were going to kick that field goal in overtime, I was like, you son of a. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm going to lose this by a half a point. And then it hit the goalpost, and I was like, then you lose. You freaking lose then. I'm tired of this shit. And then when they got the ball down there, and I was like, they scored the touchdown. Because they should have scored the touchdown.
They should have. Yeah. And it would put the game away.
And so I was like, you know what? So, but I ended up going 2-1. Obviously, the Rams, I thought they would play better. And I'm you know what? I'm going to bet on another team today that I know I'm going to talk about on Tuesday or Wednesday when we record again. Then I'm like, why did I bet on them?
Right.
Move on to our must-watch games for NFL Sunday. We only have 2 this weekend because obviously there's been all these games that have happened, but also we're going to finish up with the college football playoffs, and that's going to be one of our must-watch for Tuesday. But the first game, Packers versus Vikings, this is easily the game of the week. Both teams are playing very well. Vikings need to show their contenders in the NFC. They're never in anyone's conversations. When they talk about the NFC, it's the Eagles, it's the Lions, it's the Packers, it's Whoever else but the Vikings. Nobody wants to give them the respect. Go get it today. Go get it today. Honestly, as a Vikings fan living in Wisconsin, I want to go to the local bar. I want to talk my shit, okay?
Right.
I'm just not that I'm not that confident that we're going to be
Right.
able to hit today.
Right.
At the same time, too, it's going to come down to the running attacks. Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs, who's going to have the better running attack? That first time they played each other, there was all about the running attacks. This also the first time they played each other, I think it was 7 or 5 turnovers or whatever. A lot of turnovers. That's got to be cut down. Both teams are kind of playing a little bit better with holding on to the ball, but that just shows how good the defenses are. Now, the Green Bay has a little bit more defensive problems than the Vikings do with injuries. Vikings actually get a guy back that they've been waiting for. But what do you think?
Yeah. Jair Alexander, I think, is coming back this week. So
I thought he was still sidelined.
Oh, was he? Okay. Because I heard that they were thinking about bringing him back this week.
But I think Vikings are getting back Davenport,
a
middle linebacker. So that's going to be a nice little add to them. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, this is the second time since the merger that in the NFC North / Central that two opponents have had at least 11 wins going at each other. Yeah. This is only the second time since, which is back in 1970-some. The Vikings are looking to win and unseat the Lions for the number 1 seed. If they can get this win, they might be going for the number 1 seed. Well, the best that the Packers could do is a 5 seed, even if they win out. So, the last time they played each other, the Vikings in Lambeau, they won 31-29. I think the key for the Packers, establish the run. Get Josh Jacobs going often and early so that Love can do his play action and throw the ball down the field. I think the key for the Vikings is going to be getting Justin Jefferson going early. And get Darnold. He's got to move out of the pocket and throw the ball down the field. When he does that and gets it down to Jefferson and Edison, he's money. I mean, he'll be money today. So I think this is going to be a really good game, really. Probably the game of the week, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, too. I just think the way Green Bay finds ways to score points no matter what defense they play against. At the same time, the Vikings, it seems like when they can get it rolling, they get it going. So I say the running attacks just because I think one team is going to get a lead, and I hope it's the Vikings, but I think one team can they keep them out? Can they keep the ball and keep the running attack going? I did see a clip, and I'll say this real quick. I did see a clip that one guy on, I think it was NFL Live or someone, and he was like, the other two people were like, Packers easy. And he's like, what about the record? They have the best record in the NFC North. The NFC, they have the best record. He just kept going on. He's like, it's not the eye test. You can't say the Vikings are bad. I hope that he has that same energy after this week because the next 2 weeks, the Vikings have to win.
Right.
Have to win. It's one closer game to the Super Bowl if you can just win these next 2 games.
Right.
It takes the pressure off. I hope it, as a Vikings fan, it's just like a Notre Dame fan. I have this little pit in my stomach that I'm just waiting for them to shit the bed.
Right.
Just done it all my life anyways, so I'm waiting for them. But well, that moves us to the night game. Sunday night game, I believe it is. Falcons versus Commanders. Rookie quarterbacks going at it. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's coming off the victory last week with Penn St starting at quarterback. He looked really good, but that was the Giants. Yeah. Now he's going to play a little bit better defense in the Commanders. Washington's coming off a comeback victory. Will they have a letdown? We've heard that in the college football after an exciting win. Will they have a letdown after that last week? I think the key for Atlanta is keep the pressure away from Penix. Get him out of the pocket, let him run a little bit, and get the ball down the field to Drake London and Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, and get Bijan going early as well. You have to get him going. For Washington offense, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing. I mean, it's working. Get McLaurin going, get Brian Robinson going. Just keep doing what you're doing. Because it's working. Also, they got to clean up the turnovers. Yeah, they had 5 turnovers last week. You're not going to be. I don't think you're going to be able to do very much better. I mean, you got to do better than that.
Well, and you look back at the Eagles game. Jalen Hurts plays that game. You lose by those 5 turnovers.
Yeah,
you would lose a game because of having those, and you didn't because of that. So you got away with that one.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn facing the Falcons since he got fired in 2020.
Oh yeah,
Morris was his assistant coach, became the interim, is now the head coach at Atlanta. So there is a little bit of that little rivalry. Now, here's the thing. The spread for this, the last time I saw, was 3.5. Come on. Washington's a lot better than that for 3.5. If Tampa Bay loses earlier today, then the Commanders clinch. They don't even need to win.
Right.
So I think there's a little bit of like if Tampa loses, so they might have their eyes on a different game throughout the day because they don't play till night. I think that's one where I stayed away from it. I saw the 3.5 and I'm like, oh, hammer that. And then I'm like, okay, so if this team loses, do they play hard?
Right.
Do they play their starters all throughout the game? There's a lot of debate on whether rest or whatever. But I think we're going to see a little bit of a different Penix this game. You got to go against the Giants.
Yeah.
One does well against the Giants. Now you're going to go against a good defense. You're going to need to get the ball out of your hands fast, and you're going to be accurate. We've already heard about the wide receivers and tight end Pitts talking about how it's different seeing a left-handed quarterback throw you the ball.
Right.
The spinning of the ball is different.
Right.
So they hopefully over a week got used to that. I highly doubt it, but I just think the way that he played that first game, everyone was like, okay, here we go. I think we're going to look at this game and be like, okay, he's got some work to do.
Yeah, right.
And it's no doubt. It's a second starting game. So you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. A lot of these rookie quarterbacks like Jane, he's played all year. So, but I also think this is Jane Daniels to win the MVP for a rookie of the year.
Right.
Because he needs to finish it well. Because Bo Nix is on his tail, and I think he's doing very, very well. And after what we saw, but this is a game that kind of it kind of has playoff indications, but it's more about the rookies and the future of the NFL with these quarterbacks. Other games happening today at noon. We have Jets versus Bills. We have Raiders and Saints. We have the Colts versus the Giants, Cowboys and Eagles, Panthers and Buccaneers, Titans and Jaguars. And then at 3:00, we have Dolphins and Browns, Vikings and Packers, and then Falcons and Commanders are tonight. And then is there a Monday night? Yeah, Monday night, Lions versus 49ers. Now, there's a couple of games that we talked about could have been must-watch, but they just didn't circulate the way they were. Obviously, the Cowboys and Eagles could have been one, but without Jalen Hurts, is it? I mean, do Philadelphia play that hard? I mean, you already got a playoff. You're not going to get the number 1 seed. At the same time, Cowboys want bragging rights, so they're going to play hard. Is there any other game that pokes out to you there?
Yeah, I mean, and also the Lions and 49ers, if the 49ers weren't so banged up, that I think that would have been a marquee game. It might have been a must-watch game as well for Monday night, too.
Well, let's get to the bets. What do you got for your first bet?
I have Carolina versus Tampa Bay. Carolina coming off the big overtime win against Arizona that knocked them out of the playoffs. Tampa's coming off a loss against the Cowboys last Sunday night. Tampa needs a victory to stay alive in the playoffs. Carolina, since Bryce Young has came back from his bench, has played a lot better ball. Tampa has got to keep the turnovers down to have a shot at this. I think this is a close game. This was a close game earlier in the year. I like Tampa with this one, but I think it's close. So give me the Panthers getting the 9 points.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of points for the way Bryce Young has played recently. I think maybe start of the year Bryce Young, I'd take that, but not the way. And then Buccaneers, what happened against Cowboys? I mean, for my first bet, I am Raiders versus Saints. Who the hell gives a shit about these teams? Well, you know what? I like the under 37.5. Saints come off a game against the Packers. They scored 0 points. Raiders do they have a quarterback? Do they not have a quarterback? They don't have any weapons, blah, blah, blah. I see the Raiders, and the Raiders defense stepped up. So I think the Raiders defense holds them down. I think the Saints give a little bit of a bigger fight than they did on Monday night. I like the under of 37.5 in this game.
I'm going to go with the same game, but I'm going to go with the New Orleans coming off that shutout. I like the Raiders, and I'll give the 2.5 points on this game. Yeah, I think the Raiders are playing much better. New Orleans is cashed it in. They're. I mean, you could tell from Monday night. I mean, they weren't there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That was one that I thought about, and I'm like, you know what? I just don't think any teams are going to score.
Right.
For my second bet, I'm going to the Monday night game. Lions and San Fran. So obviously, if the Vikings lose, it kind of opens up a door for maybe the Lions to not take it as serious, but they still got to win. Lions and Vikings play next week. So the Lions are going to have to play their best game in this game. 49ers, they're just so injury-riddled. This could have been a game that we've talked about, like, holy crap. I like the Lions here, -3.5. I think it's I know it's in San Francisco, but Lions are going to score points and they're going to score them fast. So I like the Lions -3.5 in this game.
Yeah, I kind of agree. The 49ers are just too banged up.
Yeah.
Their defense is just not. I mean, our offense, the defense is still playing good, but the offense is just not there. Purdy's not has taken a step back.
What do you got for your last bet?
Jets and Buffalo. Jets coming off the bad loss to the Rams at home last week, while the Bills, they came from behind and beat the Patriots. Bills have won 10 straight home games, while the Jets have lost 4 out of 5 road games. This was an interesting stats. The Jets are a joke of a team, that are undisciplined, but find ways to lose. But they are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games as a double-digit underdog. Give me the Jets, and I'll take the 10 points.
Yeah, and there is contemplate of what the Bills need to do because they're not going to get the number 1 seed. But Josh Allen's having an MVP season, so do you think he keeps playing to keep those stats up? I know the Jets have nothing to play for him, but except for the fact that it's been a shit year, so it's ended a little bit of a ribbon. I like that bet. I do. I think the 10 points is a lot of damn points this late in the year.
Yeah.
For my last bet, going to Old Faithful here. For me the last time I bet on him. I think the way that this game matches up, I don't understand the point spread. I'm taking the Cowboys plus 7.
Wow.
Pickett's playing for the Eagles. They have nothing to play for at this point besides they already locked in their position. Cowboys are playing to keep their head coach. Parsons wants to run it back with the group that they have. They kind of played pretty well. Rush kind of looks like he's kind of getting his groove. That defense looks better. I think they win this one just on the fact that they want the bragging rights that they beat the Eagles this year. I like it. This is 7.5 points, but if you're really risky today, really risky, bet the money line on this one. I think you take it. Take that money line. I think they win this one, or kind of get a little bit lower on that spread if you want. Maybe go to 4.5, just a field goal saves your butt, or 3.5.
Right.
But yeah, I think Cowboys win this game. I do. I think that. They. They're playing.
I think they have a shot.
Yeah. Well, that is our betting for this weekend. If you do take any of our bets, just remember 2 goons. Please bet responsibly. But we got to move on to college football. NFL, you had your weekend. We get it. We got to go to college football real quick. College football playoffs. It plays on Tuesday night. We start Tuesday night. We will recap it on Wednesday. With talking the other football games are going to be happening on Wednesday. And I believe it's New Year's Eve, right? Yeah, New Year's Eve.
This game's New Year's Eve, yes.
Yep. So Penn State versus Boise State. So we're all trying to stay up to midnight. You might not need to watch this full game because Ashton Genty versus that Penn State defense. Penn State's defense has looked really good. Obviously, they had a lot of pick sixes against SMU, but can they stop the run? At the same time, Penn State's offense started to look like it's going. As long as Drew Allard takes care of the ball, doesn't try to rush anything, I think this game kind of gets out of hand a little bit. But can the defense step up? What do you think about this game?
Penn State coming off that big victory against SMU 11 days ago, where the defense had 2 pick sixes, while Boise State, their last game, they haven't played in almost a month. So, I mean, I could see a little rusty come from Boise State. The key for Penn State, hold down Genty, or contain him. Not hold him down, but contain Genty and make that quarterback Madsen throw the ball down the field. If they can get up early and maybe take Genty out of the game, that's going to be a big deal. I think that Madsen's going to have the game of his life to beat this Penn State team. On offense for Penn State, just keep doing what you're doing with Aller and get the ball to Warren. Get your running back involved. And don't take bad sacks. He's been taking some bad sacks. You can't do that. James Franklin is 19-1-1 against this, win favored by at least 7 to 24 points. I like Penn State with that record.
Yeah, I like Penn State to win this game.
Yeah, I do.
The 11.5 points is a lot of damn points.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was, 11.5 the last time we saw. If it goes to 12, I'm definitely hammering it. I think 11.5 still is a good one for Penn. I'm taking Boise State.
Oh, I'm taking Penn State, and I'll give you the 11 and a half.
I'll take the other way around because here's why. Penn State likes to throw the ball deep. Boise State likes to give up big plays. But this game always feels like when we get like to the Final Four and things like that,
right,
those big plays just don't happen as often, it feels like, because they're a little bit more nervous. They don't want to risk something. Penn State's going to have to come out and say, hey, we're going to do it no matter what. And I don't think that that's James Franklin's MO.
Right.
He's going to be trying to play it safe. He doesn't want to be the reason that Penn State loses a game based on his coaching play calls, right? At the same time, you know what they've struggled on is the running attack.
Right.
So when the Big Ten has had good running attacks, Penn State has had problems stopping it. Look at that Illini game, right? That Illini game, if you go back to the Ohio State game, like there's a lot of games where when they ran the ball, well, what does Boise State do? And yeah, don't get me wrong, Genty's great. But that Madsen, he runs the ball pretty good too.
Right.
He's a good little running back. I just think Boise State has had everyone, the world against them saying, you don't deserve to be here.
Right.
You don't deserve to have this game. You shouldn't have been blah, 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 whatever. They're going to go prove it. And I love when you got a little underdog like this. I'm taking that 11.5. I think it comes down to one possession. I just don't think they win. I think Penn State wins the game. But I don't think it's a blowout. But
I think it's a blow. They're too one-sided, Boise State. They're going to lean on Genty, and if they can stop that run, you're going to have Madsen throwing the ball. I'm not. He has had to do it all year. And now you're going to expect him to do it against that defense. I think and these neutral site games, you just don't know what. Like you said, these neutral site games, you just don't know what you're going to get either.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. But yeah, we'll see. Well, we will be back on Tuesday to wrap up the NFL's what happened on Sunday for NFL. We're going to be also talking about the Penn State versus Boise State. We will drop that podcast on Wednesday where we get to talk about what's upcoming for the rest of the college football playoffs. A lot of football. It's the greatest time of the year because it feels like every single day we got some type of football. And this weekend, you really had it Thursday. You had it Wednesday, Thursday. No football on Friday, but then you had it Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's perfect. It's just amazing. If you like what we do, please comment, share. If you don't like what we do, that's okay. I don't care. But we want to thank all the fans that have done, have showed support here. We will be back on Wednesday for New Year's Day. Everyone have a great New Year's Eve. Please be safe and have a great weekend.